Morgan, yesterday we watched Democrats attack and conservative praise two liberal journalists, Matt Taibbi and Michael Shellenberger, for their work on exposing the Twitter files. Do you fear this censorship industrial complex, so to speak, will take away all of our First Amendment rights in the future if they are not stopped?
Absolutely. I mean, free speech is definitely under attack right now. The First Amendment in its entirety is under attack, like we see with protests going on. And so absolutely, big tech censorship is a huge threat to not just Gen Z, but the entire American population, because as soon as they take away our First Amendment rights, that is going to be the first downfall of Western civilization. I mean, America is the freest country in the world. We have a Bill of Rights. We have a Constitution that upholds our individual liberties, and that is exactly what they're.
One of the attacks in our country now is on the family, and you wrote an article titled "Why Gen Z Has Little Hope for the Future of Romance." How does your generation view traditional marriage and romance?
Unfortunately, they don't. It is all about the hookup culture. I travel to college campuses and I even ask students what their thoughts are on things like this. And with this podcast that came out, whatever, we've seen that a lot of traditional marriage roles aren't respected or not even wanted anymore. And instead, it's an entitlement issue I see with Gen Z, especially women just wanting to climb that societal social ladder. And instead of settling down at home, finding a good man of moral character and having a good woman of moral character coming together to raise the next generation, they're just wanting to do anything for themselves, and then also hookup culture has to do with that as well.
Morgan, this is Greg Stevens. Joe Biden released his $6.8 trillion budget yesterday. Senator Ted Cruz noticed there were some recurring themes. Here they are.
All right, here's how many times the following words appear in the budget. Equity, 63 times. Wow. Climate, 148 times. Environmental justice, 25 times. Transgender, 8 times. Intersex, which I have no idea what that is, 7 times.
I don't either. Do you think these are priorities or what the American people, are these what we care about?
No, it is not what we care about. And we can tell that there's a hidden agenda. I mean, I just traveled to Switzerland. I know I was on talking about the World Economic Forum, and things like equity, climate change, injustices, this is all coming from something higher up, and our government is bowing down to it. And we've seen even in the corporate world them instilling equity, and this is what is popular right now. And I don't think this is what the American people want at all. Why aren't we focusing on things like inflation? Why aren't we focusing on closing our southern border? Why aren't we talking about human trafficking and child trafficking? There are so many other worse issues in our country than fighting equity and transgenderism.
Now, the Vice President, Kamala Harris, addressed your generation and a brand new challenge. Here she goes.
I mean, one of the young leaders was talking to me about climate mental health. I said, tell me what's going on with your peers. Climate mental health. Her peers are thinking about it. One example is, you know, whether when they're ready, could they start a family?
So what are you hearing from your peers, Morgan, on climate mental health?
What an absolute joke. I recently interviewed some students at the University of Texas, Austin, and I asked them, what is the biggest issue facing America? And they said climate change. And then when I asked them what the solution was, they're like, well, I fear raising a family and that, you know, we need to eat less meat to fight back against this. It is all a psyop, honestly, because what is climate change actually going to do to change how we are raising the future of our family? How about we raise them with a good Christian household and teach them morals and values? Because climate change, climate mental health isn't happening.
Okay, real quickly, I want to ask you, Turning Point USA's Young Women's Leadership Summit, Texas this June. Tell us how to find out about it, where to go.
Yes, go to tpusa.com/YWLS. It's the biggest Christian and conservative just movement, especially for all women. Only biological women can go. Everyone should be there. Thousands of young women in Dallas.
And get your daughters there. Morgan, thank you. Back to you in just a moment. Morgan, you posted the video of Minnesota's governor making his state a place where people can travel to change their children from boys to girls and girls to boys. You see all the children standing around Governor Tim Walz and the adults cheering him on. Have we lost our collective mind in America?
I think there's a piece of America that definitely has lost its mind. When I see videos like this surface, it honestly breaks my heart because these are innocent children who don't know any better. I mean, we all know that children's minds are very impressionable. And so when you give a girl a blue toy and tell them you are a boy, it very much is abuse. This is not helping our next generation. This is abusing our next generation. And these kids are guinea pigs. And we're going to see, I think in the next decade, a huge wave of detransitioners because these kids are being groomed, and it's just breaking my heart. And these parents honestly should be in prison for what they're doing, and the government has no business legalizing this for children. There's
going to be detransitioning, a large force of it. Now, are you shocked at the revelation that a California county had a squad detecting, dedicated? They were dedicated to spying on a church during the COVID lockdown. Surprise you?
I'm not shocked at all. I grew up in the Bay Area, and honestly, this is looking a whole lot like the first step to communism. They already track us on our cell phones, and now they're tracking us where we go to church, what buildings we're in, and I see this happening widespread. I mean, I think that the church is a really big threat to the leftist agenda, and that's why we're going to keep doing what we do, and that's why we're going to keep standing for the truth. So I'm definitely not shocked at all, especially coming from California.
I agree with you, and thank you for standing up with Turning Point USA and what you're doing there. Thanks for being with us today.
So much.
You're welcome.